Okay, hi everyone, welcome back, and in today's update we are going to check out QNT's price chart, but before that we are going to dive into something that may not necessarily sound flashy, but I promise you it's actually very big. The SEC just dropped a piece of guidance that could seriously reshape how the financial world interacts with digital assets. And yep, it actually ties directly into what Quant has been building for years and years. So here's the situation. You see, the US SEC just issued a guidance that says fully collateralized stablecoins, like for example USDC and also USDP, might be treated as cash equivalents on corporate balance sheet. Now, let's pause here. That might actually sound boring if you are just scrolling through Twitter, but in reality, that's massive. You see, for years and years, one of the biggest issue in traditional finance when it comes to crypto wasn't necessarily technology. No, it wasn't even volatility. It was absolutely regulation. Big banks, corporate treasuries, asset managers, they all need the clarity. They were always asking some questions like this. Can we legally hold stablecoins? Are they considered securities? Or maybe they are considered cash, maybe something else. We just don't know. And this guidance, it is basically the SEC saying, okay, you are safe. You can treat them like absolute cash. Boom. That is it. That is the huge unlock that we are going to talk about in today's update. So let's dive in. You see, in my view, this guidance from SEC gives TradFi institutions the serious money, the regulatory green light to integrate stablecoins into their core operations, not in some experimental sandbox, not in test mode, no, but in real use treasury, settlements, and also payments. Now, let's connect this to QNT. And why is it actually such a big deal? Because this isn't just news for stablecoin companies like Circle. No, this is exactly the environment QNT has been building for. Let me break it down one by one. And the first important point that comes to mind is when legitimacy meets infrastructure. You see, the moment stablecoins become cash-like, you can expect rapid adoption from banks and large financial entities. But adoption isn't just about holding stablecoins. No, it is about using them, moving them, settling them in real time, interacting with legacy systems that were never built for digital assets. And that's exactly where QNT steps in. You see, Overledger isn't just trying to compete with stablecoins or maybe build the next payment coin. No, it is building the rails that let these assets move between existing banking infrastructure and blockchain networks absolutely seamlessly. So when banks say, okay, great, we are now going to use stablecoins, the next question should be, how do we plug them into our current system? And the answer, well, it's actually infrastructures like Quant. Now, another very important point about this guidance and what it actually means for banks and TradFi is this. You see, once a lot of banks start holding stablecoins, it's not going to be just about balances anymore. No, they will want automation, efficiency, new products. That means things like, for example, number one, instant settlement of invoices. Number two, smart contracts for conditional payments. Number three, on-chain accounting. And number four, streamlined compliance workflows. And you cannot do that by holding USDC. No, you need systems that are secure, interoperable, and enterprise grade. You need an operating system, not just necessarily a simple wallet. And that, my friends, is exactly what QNT is building with Overledger. This isn't about hype anymore, it's about architecture, the kind of architecture that supports real-world programmable money at scale. And here is something most people in here miss. You see, banks are businesses and they need new revenue streams. The current system is absolutely slow, very much expensive, and also bloated. Stablecoins, when treated as cash, change that game. We are talking, for example, real-time cross-border payments. We are talking lower operational costs from instant clearing. We are talking financial products built entirely with smart contracts and also more efficient capital use through on-chain liquidity. But again, the coin itself doesn't unlock that. The infrastructure actually does. And guess what? Once more, Quant isn't trying to be the coin. It is building the rails, the routers, the network logic underneath. So now let's zoom out a little bit. What do we have here? Number one, finally some regulatory clarity. Number 2, institutional green light. Number 3, stable coins moving towards mass adoption. Number 4, banks looking to evolve. And number 5, Quant sitting right in the middle of all this with battle tested tech. This isn't just about headlines or narratives anymore. This is about timing. And it seems like that indeed stars are finally starting to align for QNT. And unlike other crypto projects still trying to figure out their product market fit, Quant already has the fit. It's already working with banks, governments, and enterprise players. So, as final thoughts, the SEC guidance may not necessarily cause a pump tomorrow. In fact, let me just say this, it will absolutely not cause a pump tomorrow, but it's very much a clear signal in my view. The rails are being laid, the doors are opening, and institutional capital is getting ready to move. And when that movement starts, I promise you, it's not going to flow into meme coins or some unregulated DeFi projects. No, it is most likely going into platforms that are built for compliance, security, and also interoperability. And again, the interoperability aspect is very important. You want to remember that. Quant has been quietly positioning itself for this exact same moment. So if you are in this for more than just simple price swings, if you are watching where real adoption will come from, this is the kind of signal that you just simply cannot ignore. And this is exactly why I am so optimistic about the future of QNT. I think in this bull run, we are going to have, number 1, a magnificent alt season, and number 2, Quant is going to indeed participate in that alt season, because when it comes to fundamentals and also technicals, I think we just have the best setup that we could ever ask for. So overall, fantastic news for QNT. Question is, what is happening on the live chart and specifically in the short term? Let's go now on QNT's chart and see what is going on. Okay, here we are, and if you remember the last time that we talked about QNT, we were around these areas and we talked about the concept of having in this whole region, not starting from the highest high, but starting from this point, a correction structure down in form of most likely an ABC flat. And I think at the moment we are so far going according to that plan. So here's the situation. In an ABC flat for our wave C, meaning this leg down right in here, we need to be able to find a 5-wave impulsive structure. And what do we have off of the highest side? I'm thinking this is probably wave 1 followed by a correction for wave 2, and then we are probably having right now 1 2 3 4 5 wave down into this larger degree wave 3, and after it's over we are going to get a bounce. But I'm thinking we are probably going to get like a temporary bounce into wave 4, and then it will be time to have yet another move on the downside into wave 5. And generally, in my view, before we take the lows in here, probably somewhere around these areas, about like $100 region, we are going to have our final low and get a very strong bounce back. And also, I think probably when we have our wave 3 and 4 and 5, between MACD and the live chart, we are actually going to have a beautiful looking bullish divergence, meaning on the live chart we are going to have a low, the other one is going to be a lower low. However, in MACD we are going to have a low, the other one is going to be a higher low. So this is actually one very important signal that I am watching, and I'm really hoping that we are going to have something like this in order for me to flip bullish with like much more confidence. Now, is this such a bad sign? In my view, no. I mean, sure, in like very short term, we may have like another 8 to 10% move on the downside. But honestly, who cares? You shouldn't really care about the short term price action in QNT, because in that case, you are going to miss the long term view and just how extremely bullish we are looking. Let's go on daily time frame. Okay, as you can see, so far we are having about, a 4-year long-term drawn out consolidation pattern. And as you can see, as we move forward, we are just constantly on one hand setting lower lows, but on the other hand, we are setting lower highs. So what does this mean? As we move forward, the price is just getting compressed more and more. And at one point, these patterns do have a habit of leading into some unbelievable explosions. And I'm going to argue, since the first initial move was actually on the upside, well, the next move in here also going to be a big one up in order to at least set an all-time high and take the highest high all the way up here about $450. But I think we are actually going to go quite a bit higher than that, maybe like a $1,000 QNT even. I promise you that's not that much of an unrealistic target. In fact, let's go real quick on CoinMarketCap and see where is QNT. Excuse me, I swear to God, I actually saw it right around here. There we go. We are standing at the moment with the price of $108 at rank 66 with the market cap of about 1.3 billion. Now, let's say we are going to have a 10x move on the upside and we are going to reach to about $1,100. At that point, your market cap is going to be around what? Yep, you guessed it right. $13 billion. And I promise you, when we get to 13 billion, we are probably not even going to crack the top 10. Meaning, once more, a $1,000 QNT is not really going to be that much of an insane target. It is very, very much in the realm of possibility. And in fact, it might actually be sort of kind of a pessimistic target. I think $2,000 QNT is actually possible, but that might be a little bit optimistic. So let's just stick with the $1,000 target and then get there. And at that point, well, okay, we are going to make new videos and see what are we going to have next. And what a great headache would be to decide whether we are going to end our bull run at $1,000 or maybe 2K or maybe even 3-4K. And I hope I explained everything well and you understood what is going on in QNT's chart. Anyway, if you found any value in my content, I would really appreciate if you like this video and consider subscribing to my channel and follow me on Twitter. And if you want more, maybe you want a complete analysis for your own specific crypto, or maybe you want to learn some decent TA in order to be able to make good money in the markets, you can become a member and ask me anything you want. And until the next update, I hope you have a wonderful time with your family and loved ones. Goodbye.